won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome into Pregaming here on Sports Money. Happy Eve of Christmas Eve to everybody that celebrates it. I'm excited for a couple of fun days of sports, but Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, albeit this is going to be a tough Christmas Eve. We don't have a lot on the schedule this year here. It's going to be a lot of time with family and friends. This is the time to start volunteering. You need me to do something? Sure. You want me to run to the store? Sure. What can I do to help make this that much easier for everybody else? Because we literally have California and Hawaii at 8 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow night. And that's it. That is slim pickings if I've ever seen it. Now, we will be firing. They are going to be going after it for the NFL. Thursday, they will pop off with 3 holiday games, the Cowboys and Commanders, the Lions and Vikings, and the Broncos and Chiefs. But boy, oh boy, what are we going to do tomorrow? Phil the Kill says he'll be on Hawaii. I want to thank you guys all for joining us last night on that epic live stream. Cashed our San Francisco 49ers. Did not get a couple of those pre-flop spots, but damn near swept the card, over 5.5 units of second half plays. I was saying to the boys backstage before we even started, I said, man, I've been like 2-1 with good plus money. I mean, we've been catching those touchdown props, but 2-1, like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, 3 or 4 shows in a row. I said, I was due for something. I thought we were 1 reception away from the sweep last night, and darn, I wanted it. But just because I want it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And speaking of not happening, I wanted 12 in a row. But I got to that point where I guess I was in my own headspace there. Toledo, team total under, does not cash. You know, I was thinking Toledo for like 3 days. Plus 8.5. I woke up, it's at plus 11.5. I'm like, whoa. And so I circled back. I looked at my notes, and I saw everybody was out for Toledo. And I thought, boy, oh boy. Let's just take this team total under. There's supposed to be wind. There was supposed to be potential weather. Louisville was playing for their coach. I just thought there was an opportunity for Louisville to beat them boys down, and they did. They held them to 3 points for 3 quarters. But one of them star players on the defense, in fact, the star for the Louisville side of things, gets ejected for putting a tackle on a running back. I guess we can't do that anymore. And at that point, I live bet the over 11.5 was plus 190. They came down and scored a field goal right away, and I was like, all right, well, I cashed that, so I'm feeling okay. But it wasn't ultimately the end-all, be-all, but when Toledo returned a 2-point conversion for a defensive 2-point conversion, I was like, oh, man, they're sitting at 16. That's tough. It's tough. It's really tough is what it is. But hey, we're 11-1 in bowl games. I did give out the Southern Miss game out there. They just put a touchdown on the board. So I've been giving those out on the community post for all of our Sports Money members. Trying to give you guys a little love here for the holiday season. I gave you guys the opening for the 2 free day trial for Winnable. I've been posting everything for all members for the Sports Money Network on the community post tab. So we got some work to do today, though. Lost my overnight bet. Lost Lindenwood. I guess this is where some of that regression comes into play because them boys were tied, or I was 1 point loss or 1 point deficit with like a minute to go. Then I flipped back and they lost the game outright. So that stinks. Certainly doesn't feel good. And we lost that Green Bay under. So it stinks. It stinks. But hey, that's okay. Listen, that's what happens. We gamble. We bet a lot of games. We cast a wide net. We've been on fire. It doesn't take away from the fire that we've had. And I've got some fire for tonight's card. I've got sharp respected betting information for you guys in the NHL. We've got the Panthers and Hurricanes, Canadians and Bruins, not the Bruins, the Bruins, my bad typo. Predators, the Wild, and then the Flames and the Oilers will kick us off. A parlay in the NHL, a little two-legger. Both spots in a 15-0 streak or trend. So we want to make sure that we capitalize. I'll share all of that with you guys. Then I've got 3 games in the NBA, the Wizards and Hornets, the Bucks and Pacers, and the Magic and Blazers. It's King of the Court night. We did have a great King of the Court run going before they kind of seemed to take a little bit of a hiatus for the NBA Cup. So I've got a King of the Court play for you guys as well. See if we can't get our share of that $1 million that they're giving in bonus bets. So just disappointed with the way this day has started out, man. Not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to talk about how incredibly fucking angry I am about it, but I am going to live bet the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nicholas Haney says they're going to blow it. Oh, what just happened with George Kittle's dealing with a mid to low ankle sprain? Great. My fantasy championship is next week. So I guess I'm dealing with that. But I'm going to live bet these Maple Leafs right now. See what we can get. See what we can get for a number. Minus 130. All right. All right. They started out 2-1. They're up 3-1. Worst lead to have. 2-goal lead in the NHL. It became 3-3. I don't believe in the Penguins team, especially after that goaltending snafu. So we'll take them live. We did cash a live bet last night that I gave out to you guys here. In fact, they came back and won the damn game outright. So we did finish. It was a really good day yesterday. 3.5 units here on the pre-gaming show. We always recap. You guys know, I said this when I posted my recap on Winnable today. The most important thing is this transparency, right? You got to recap. They can't take the time to recap. You shouldn't take the time to follow. I mean, it's just that simple, right? What are we throwing darts at the fucking board? How do we know if we're winning or losing? So we did get that live bet on Abilene Christian. They were down at halftime. I told you I had that minus 3.5 pre-flop. They came back and covered the spread. That was a nice little spot for us out there. Mississippi Valley State team total under was not good to us. 48.5 points. They got 51. So, we did cash the under in the Bryant game, 155.5. We did not cash the under in the Canisius game, 143.5. We did not cash the under 20 or minus 24 in Florida State because they won by 24. So we got hooked. And then that Flyers game with that meaningless goalie being pulled in the third period with a couple minutes to go. They're down 3 goals and the Flyers score a meaningless goal out there. That game did not go under. But that was the extent of the L's because we picked up some big W's. San Fran minus 4. And then those big dogs in the NHL, the plus 145 Seattle Kraken. I had to bite my tongue when some of the fellows were talking about the other side because I gave it out to you guys here. Seattle Kraken plus 145. And the sharp respected betting report came through with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I shared it here. I put it on Winnable, and I even gave it out live on the NFL show. We cashed that under 234.5. That was an easy under in that Portland Trailblazers game. Now, if you'll remember, Portland Trailblazers game last night opens up a trend for tonight, you guys. So, Stop Joe says, no, do not bet on the Leafs. I bet on them. They are not winning this game. You bet on them. Huh. And you don't want me to bet on them. What do you want? Keep the winner to yourself? They're winning this game. They're winning this game tonight. I'm just bummed about that Toledo game, man. Sucks to lose. I mean, I don't know how it works for you guys, and I said this before, but you start compounding wins, and you get excited. Like, hey, man, we're firing, we're killing it, and then at some point you creep in your own headspace. That's what I did. That game changed 100% after I sent that tweet out that said, we're going for 12 in a row, and let's see if we can get 13. And I blame myself. I retweeted. I said, this is why everything went downhill. So it is what it is. Just bummed. But I'm excited for what we have in store tonight. So, all right, we'll pick it up. We'll dust ourselves off, and we will get back in the fight because we only have one game tomorrow night, and we need some action. So I'm going to have to scour the card and see what we can do between. I don't even know if there's. It's Christmas Eve on a Wednesday. I can't imagine there's much going on at all. But thank you guys all for being here. If you haven't done so already, smash that thumbs up button. Only takes you a second. Helps us out a ton. And gives good action. I mean, listen, if you're, superstitious as I am, you're going to tail a play. You're going to watch the show. You got to give it a thumbs up just for luck, just so your plays can get out there and find their way to victory lane. So take a second if you haven't done so. Close that comment section. Hit the thumbs up. Pop the comments back open, and we'll get to work. Also, we shifted over on the second half yesterday. Some of you guys may have noticed that we went to members only chat. And you can expect more of that because it was fun. We like to try to find a way to create this community, cultivate this community, and again, say thank you to those guys that support us. There's a lot of people out there that are just free play chasing and they don't recognize the hard work that goes into it. Even if they do recognize the hard work into it, it doesn't matter to them. And it matters to us that you guys have taken the time to gift donations, the memberships, the subs, becoming members, following us along this journey. That's what keeps us coming back. Enjoy spending the time with you guys and sharing these winning plays, but it ain't easy. It ain't cheap. We spend time and money on tools. We have the technology that differentiates us, but you know what the difference maker is? It's the experience. And I've said this before. Think of it like a stool. There's 3 legs. We have a toolkit. We use technology. We leverage technology. That third leg of the stool, that's the difference maker that's here at Sports Money. And that's comes down to just not seeing it for the first time. Shout out to everybody that thinks they're capping games. We're not capping games. We're looking at things in the ether. We're looking at things in the aggregate. Ultimately we're going to give you a side or a total, but there's a lot more that goes into that. Just because a team's 6-1 at home doesn't mean they're at home and they're going to win. We have to look at all those other dynamics that we've talked about time and again as we continue to educate to build this thing. And that's the experience that comes into play with the Sports Money crew. So I appreciate everybody that is a member. If you're not in green, think about going out there and saying, hey, we've been winning some money with these boys. Why not kick up $5 and become a member out there? And by the way, get access to premium plays, get access to premium chats, get access to the new things that are coming down the pike for the future. So a shout out to everybody that is a member. I see Nicholas Handy up his membership. Bill the Kills a member. He's got the crack. He says Kraken plus 204. Still high after last night's win, while the Kings will worry about losing games after the holidays. So Bill the Kill thinks it's a Kraken spot here tonight. Blake is in the house. Says, good evening, crew. Mikey, lost my fantasy game championship by 0.01 points. Oh, man. 0.01 points, dude. That's a bad beat right there, brother. Sorry for you. Ugh. I'm in the championship. I got George Kittle. Sounds like George Kittle's probably going to be out, so I'm going to have to start looking. Who do you even pick up at week 17? Is there anybody left? Nicholas Handy's in the house. There he is, Mr. Wesker. Says Pacers against the spread, Spurs against the spread. Phil the Kill says, let's go. And Stop Geo says, let's get it. Good luck to my people. Phil the Kill's going to be on Hawaii in that game. And Nicholas Handy says, touchdown Southern Miss 7-3. Phil the Kill says, that line change shook me, but my bet was already in. Yeah. I'm not happy about it, as you can clearly tell. Let's see if Southern Miss can, you know what cures all anger about losses is wins. So if Southern Miss can come through, and now a lot of people seem to like that +3. So many people like, here's the thing that always, here's some experience. Let me school you guys on some experience for a second. When you see the line sitting at 2.5 all day, and now you start seeing people on Twitter that just randomly show up on your timeline or whatever that start putting +3, and it's 2.5, that's losing. We'll see what it does here. I'm knocking on wood. But then everybody's banging on this 3 and buying points, and then it moves to 3. And it's like, wait a minute. If this is such a great spot, why did it just move to 3? So that should obviously be a pause for concern. Nicholas Haney thinks the Maple Leafs are going to blow it. Stop Geos talking about them Leafs. There's Lauren Dorian. Says, good evening, Mikey. Got Harvard plus 26.5. There's Smoke and Mirrors. Cigars and bourbon in the screen porch here in the capital city. Shout out to you, Smoke, my dude. Appreciate you rocking with us here. I like the setup you got out there, my guy. Phil the Kill says, I'm playing with house money after the Kraken and Jackets. Those are great wins. Those are such great wins that even after they got tied up 1-1 in that Kraken game, you could still fire back and live bet that thing, man. Let's go. Stop Geo says, no, it's a sick fucking trend of if I back them, they win. If I fade them, they do great. Phil the Kill says, members only. Like the only coat brand Mikey will wear. I don't have a members only jacket. I never had a members only jacket. AJ says, Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's get that bag. Merry Christmas to you, AJ. Blake says, glad to be a gold member so far. Thank you for everyone's work. I compared to mine. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, right? Like, we share information here, try to share trends and angles, but getting to see everybody's plays, and then kind of once you know what everybody's on, you kind of figure out, where do you want to be? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like the trend? Did it keep you off a loser? Hopefully it didn't keep you off a winner. Nicholas Andy says, Leafs power play. Phil the Kill says, someone mentioned only betting money lines on bull games. I thought that was a decent strategy. Big O says, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And Nicholas Andy says, Leafs 4-3. Let's go. That's how we turn this thing around. I don't know about that money line only. So what are you going to do? I mean, if you're betting the money line, you're going to be favorites. I'm very curious about that because, I mean, Louisville as a money line was probably minus 800, I'd imagine. And Ohio, UNLV as a money line. UNLV's got to be around 350, right? What do we see for, let's see what that money line looks like. Are you saying that this, I mean, it's minus 245 for UNLV. I just don't trust that UNLV team. Shout out to Big O, the 1999 don't know. Taking us in the right direction. Let's get comfortable. Let's get rolling. Let's get this cash. Let's get this. Cheers, my guy, Big O. Going to put me in the right direction. Appreciate you, brother. Rocking with us, doing that thing, bringing them positive vibes, blessing our action. Mr. Wesker says, seasoned bettors learn to get comfortable with spreads. You know, I don't think it's just that, but it's like there's instances that we've seen before, right? And I'm not saying that, it's just like I was talking to my guy Shark earlier this afternoon. We were talking about some basketball spots and some college football spots here. And yeah, that's part of being experienced as well. You build a network. You get your friends together, guys that are, I like to be with like-minded individuals, positive, sharp cappers. And we were just talking a little bit about like how many times have you done something? And we can probably all relate to this, right? How many times have you done something and you're like, damn it, why do I keep doing that? And it doesn't matter what it is, but I'm specifically talking about sports betting, like the public road dog, right? And he's like, it turned out that was a public road dog and they lost again. And you're like, damn it, how many times am I going to keep doing it? And then eventually you say that enough to yourself that you have rebooted your subconscious. You are now not looking at that at all. You're saying, I'm going to stay away from that. And then somebody's going to sell me on why that's the right spot. And then that's kind of how you develop, not saying that it's the end all be all, but it's just kind of seeing that stuff multiple times that come through the pike. And it's like, all right, not going to make that mistake again. I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it. But anyhow, I digress, guys. Let's get to some action here. Let's get to some work this evening because I really like this NHL card tonight. I threw 5 plays out there. I think I'm winnable. I don't know. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a play on this UNLV Ohio game. I got to unmind fuck myself. Just fair. Just being real with you guys. Part of it means I need to see there's a lot of mental headspace that goes on when it comes to gambling. Toledo threw me right off the track. But I had that shaky pencil when I was putting Toledo in because I was thinking, man, I got 11 in a row. I got to get 12. So we need to get Southern Miss to win this thing, to reboot and reestablish that confidence to be able to fire on the spot that I want to fire on there. I don't think I want to be on UNLV. I don't like that defense. And look at the points. 65.5. Now, I don't know about MAC schools. I mean, Toledo did well considering everybody was out, but Toledo's got one of the deeper MAC benches in the program. So, and I'll definitely have a play on Cal. Are you fucking kidding me? 100% I will have a play on California and Hawaii tomorrow. It's the only game on. 8 p.m. Yeah, absolutely. Probably have 2 or 3 plays. And I'll have all damn day to scrub it. So, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like here. I did scrub this NHL card tonight, you guys. Look at some of this shit that's in here. Look at these. Oh, you can't see them because I'm on screen. Look at this tropical snowman. Look at this. Fuck that tropical snowman. Let's get to work. Let's get some cash in us. Boy, there's some cool ones in here. What's this one? Golden cheese. That looks like wrapping paper, doesn't it? What's this one look like? I'll at least take a second to stop. Well, that one sucks. Looks like wrapping paper. These all look like fucking wrapping paper. StreamYard team's got to step it up. All they did is put together a bunch of wrapping paper shots. What are we talking about here? What are we doing? And then they had these ones. I wish I could. I don't know how to use these with what we're doing here. All right. Anyways, I get to stop. I'm no different than anybody else. You start bouncing that red ball, I'm watching it. You guys ever see that? I said this before. You ever see that YouTube video? It used to be a training that they use for corporate, talking about kind of if you get too fascinated with the shining object. I think this is a really great core. I'm going to tie this back to the Twitter Steam Chasers. I think this brings it full circle to what we talked about with the experience. They got this video out there where there's a red bouncing ball. And they got people bouncing the ball. And they're like, count how many times the red ball's bouncing. So you get so fixated on that red bouncing ball that they're like, true or false? Did you see the gorilla in the background? I think is what it says. And there's a fucking gorilla in the background. Big fucking gorilla. But nobody sees it because they're counting how many times that red bouncing ball's going. This guy's 7-1 in his last 8 on Twitter. Meanwhile, in the background, here rolls in Sports Money up 60 units in the month of December off of 45 November, and you miss it because you're steam chasing that 6-1 guy that's inevitable. Like if I'm 12-0, inevitably I'm about to be 12-1. I mean, that's just the law of large numbers as it relates to my previous profession. So anyhow, enough of that. I don't know what the fuck we're even talking about. I want to talk about some sports. Let's talk about this. Let's get through this really quick, you guys. This will be the last show. Ramon's going to be back on Wednesday, he says, to give out some NFL plays out there for the morning steam. And I'll be back Ramon will be back on Thursday, Christmas Day. I will be back with Ramon. We will both be shows on Friday to do the thing that we do. And that is the morning steam and pre-gaming before we get back into the regularly scheduled affairs. So you know the schedule, you know what's out there. Probably going to put a video out there. For these player incentives too. We'll see if I can do some more research on those. Let's see. Jerry Davis in the house is absolutely bad beat Louisville -6. I have to tell you what, I was in panic mode when I had a +8.5 last night. Fucked up. Blake says, I'm like Ramon. Do a lot of totals in certain sports. I like totals. The Futon Bet says Jalen Sotsons is king of the court pick. Sup, buddy? Merry Christmas to Futon Bets. Philica says Love Shark. He has the tallest hats out there. He either has a cone head or needs to get a crown hat. I think he keeps him up off that head of lettuce he's got. Phil Kill says Ramon is a warrior. Channel doesn't even miss on Christmas. Mr. Wesker says we're all experienced that phenomenon where we immediately regret a bet after we make it. Changing that subconscious is key, says Mr. Weskers. Okay. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. Last day before the Christmas break for these guys. I don't know how that may or may not factor into your capping, but I really didn't do too much to mine. Just full disclosure. I kind of just thought like I think we're still more looking at these teams and their positions and their direction. And look, these two teams have number one goaltenders as their direction. Sergei Bobrovsky starts for the Florida Panthers. Frederik Andersen starts for the Carolina Hurricanes. Arguably. I mean, these two guys are comparable. Slight advantage in goals against average to Bobrovsky. He does have a 15-8-1 record, so, he's been doing pretty good. He's got a 5-game winning streak on top of it. So I always start this thing, and you guys hopefully see the consistency when I build it from the goalie out, right? And that's what we did last night with these goalie advantages or disadvantages out there. Why are these guys $2 favorites when the goaltender actually seems to be better on the other side of things? Can't score, you can't win. And Bobrovsky, 37 years old, nice little winning streak going. And it's a bounce back revenge spot for Carolina. So they just lost 4-3 in a shootout. It was a shootout. It was a lot of goals. And Andersen, he's not been playing his finest. So the question is, does he bounce back? He's lost 8 of his last 9. I mean, look, I got to double dip this game. I got to take the Florida Panthers at plus 120. That's the way I'm going to kick this thing off here. Just looking at these two guys, looking at the position, looking at the goaltenders, looking at the spot start situation out there. There is some bigger money coming in on the Florida Panthers. We don't spend a lot of time talking about that, but there's about a 20-point advantage here between cash and bets, right? So the bigger cash coming in. And we know that sometimes the sharps are just going to buy the price tag, but they've been pretty fucking accurate. So when you got a sharp bet in the NHL, it's like a sharp bet in the WNBA. They don't get a lot of action. So when you do get that action, the books correlate and respect it. And I think this is a good Florida Panther spot. Taking advantage of this Hurricanes. Now, all fairness, Hurricanes at home are a tough beat. The Panthers are coming in red hot, 7-2-1. Bobrovsky's got that 5-game winning streak. And so the second play I'm going to go to is the total. I'm not going to put these two together because I want the 6 in the under situation. But look, road teams off a bad loss, 570 and 413 over the history. It shows that they continue to bounce back, and that is this Florida Panther spot. The problem I have, though, is as it relates to the under, road teams off a loss of 4 or more when they were the favorite don't tend to score a lot of goals. So we're coming into the capital of the under on the East Coast in Carolina. But that little trend is 6-2-2. So I think Bobrovsky gives him the edge. That's why I like the plus 120. I also think that when you've got a Carolina team that's kind of reeling right now, this last game before the break, we're not going to go out there and go balls out. Nobody wants to get hurt before Christmas and be eating their turkey through a straw from a blender. It's a spot for us to take a shot, take a crack and say, let's double dip. Let's take the under 6 and let's take the Florida Panthers. Both 2 spots out. Now you can put them together if you want. Not advocating that. I'm playing them separate. And I think you should do the same. Make sure you guys do smash that thumbs up if you haven't. If you guys are checking us out over on X, consider migrating on over to the YouTube channel. We have content going all the time, 7 days a week. Bets, angles, prediction, breakdowns, live shows, you name it. You can find them here at Sports Money. Let's go on to game number 2. Oh, I see I didn't put the banners in there. My bad. I got a little Christmas cheer in me here. I got a little Christmas season in me, I guess. The Montreal Canadiens, Les Habitants, and the Boston Bruins. Now, one of the things you need to recognize is that this becomes a original 6 matchup. Those always seem to have a little bit of extra flair. Problem here is it's Jacob Fowler that will be starting for the Montreal Canadiens. 2.49 goals against average. Last game before the holidays. Young buck out there has been playing okay. 2-1-1 through his first 4 games to start this thing off. Just came off of best performance of his NHL career. 31 save shutout Pittsburgh Penguins. Kind of like a pitcher that goes deep. When that pitcher goes 9 innings, I'm looking to fade him that next time around. And then on the other side of things, we got Jeremy Swayman, 2.78 goals against average. Kind of cold. Lost 4 of his last 5. Not playing to his... I mean, he's not playing horrible. He's a 2.78, but he's been playing around a 3.05. So, obviously some room for opportunity here. And the Canadians coming in here 2-0-1 in their last 3. So now you got to ask yourself, why are these Bruins the favorite? They're losing Canadians are winning. Goalie's not playing great for the Bruins. And then we pivot back to the old mighty trend. Favorites on a 3 or more game losing streak are 7-3 their last 10. There are 4 straight winners out there to close this thing off before they go to the holidays. I want to jump in, take me some Boston Bruins at a reasonable price tag on them Boston Bruins. But I like goals in this game. I think the direction I want to look to are these guys getting goals. Put these pucks in the net, these goaltenders. You know, it's tough when you got a guy like Fowler that's been running, red hot, but Boston's kind of, despite their recent form, if you look back at some of the longer-term Boston trends out there, they've been playing pretty well. And they've been playing really well at home. It kind of reminds me a few years ago, before Tampa was winning Stanley Cups, that it was like, remember when it was like Boston at home, never lost off a loss? Like, that kind of, I'm not saying that's the case that they're in right now. I get that. They are losing. But it just has that, there's 5-3 Toronto over the Pittsburgh Penguins. It just kind of has that feeling. And you know who's been kind of the straw that stirs the drink is Geikie. Guy came over from the Seattle Kraken, and I love this stat. He's got more points now than all of the Seattle Kraken players combined or something crazy like that. It was a crazy stat that I saw. And good for him. They made the trade. They brought him in, tough spots that these boys lost, but they haven't traveled. So that's kind of the important thing that I look at. They played the Mammoth. They won. That was the first game back from a rotor. Tough game to lose after that is the second game back from a rotor. They lost 3-1 to Edmonton. They lost 5-4 to the Canucks team with respect. That Canucks team has been firing since they got rid of Quinn Hughes. He must have been a real bitch and, sourpuss in the locker room. And then they lost by a 6-2 to Ottawa. That one's tough to explain. But I think they want to get this win. I think they want to go fire it. And I think the point for this one is goals. Let's take the over 6. Let's see these guys get these pucks in the net. Furthermore, similar trend. I shouldn't say the same trend, but a similar trend is when they're coming off that loss of 4 or more, 7-3 to the over after getting shut down. Kind of makes sense. If you take a team that's averaging 3 goals a game and you give them a 2, well, they're due for 1. If they're averaging 3, that means 4. So if it's 4 on a 6, the other team just needs to score 2. And Montreal certainly is capable of putting 2 pucks in the net there. Let's take the over 6 and let's move on to the Nashville Predators, Minnesota Wild spot. Nicholas Henry says empty header. Jess Shire says, you call him Geikie? Geikie? I don't know. I don't have to say it to play it. Brian Smith says, anyone feel for the Stars Wings game total? I'm leaving over 6. Loving, I think is what he means. And Nicholas Henry says 6-3 now. Is it 6-3? That was a nice live bet. Nobody lives bet like we do, boys and girls. That is a absolute fact. Maybe the best live bettors in the business. 2 days in a row, give you guys a live bet. Hopefully it cashes here for us. In this game, minute 24 to go. Predators and Wild. Gonna roll up. Another situation that's a real tricky call because the Predators have been playing good hockey. The rumors of Stamkos leaving town, somebody having to pick up his $8 million contract, probably will come to fruition 4 days from now. We'll probably see after that NHL freeze is done. They've finalized the components to figure out who's going to pick up all that salary cap. It looks like UC Saros will start for the Nashville Predators. He's got a 2.95 goals against average, and it is confirmed it will be Gustafsson for the Minnesota Wild. They weren't sure if they were going to go with the Wall of St. Paul or if they were going to go to Gus, and it looks like Gus is going to get the nod out there. Hey, Minnesota, man, they bring in Quinn, his temporary layover till he ends up playing with his brothers. But he is one of the best defenders in the league, and he went out there, and he has been solidifying that blue line for this squad out there. I mean, when you bring in not just a top-line guy, but one of the best in the league, and you've got 2 goaltenders playing lights out, you're a tough team to beat. That's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. Furthermore, 2.47 for Gustafsson. He's got a 1.4 going over his last 5. He's 5-0. They are running absolutely red hot, this Minnesota Wild team. And yes, the Predators have been doing well. Can't discount winning 7 of their last 10. But Minnesota scores goals. They're a top 5 team in the NHL. They're on a 7-10 spot their last, and they're holding teams to 2.4 goals a game. They have a huge home ice advantage that a lot of people don't seem to be talking about right now. 13-4-4 at home. And you got Nashville, who can't seem to win on the road. They've only won 5 games on the road. So this will be one of them spots where I take the Minnesota Wild -1. I got the Minnesota Wild -1 at -120, not regulation, -1. The abundance of games that have gone to overtime this season are exactly the reason why we want to get involved with that -1, because they do end up going to overtime. You lose your regulation bet, but we're still alive for the -1. So, and frankly, with what I just described about their goaltending prowess, their ability to go out there and execute on their home ice, they should be able to go out there and win this game by 2. But, it keeps ourselves in the prudent position to get this cash by saying, you know what, let's just lay that -1. It's essentially the same price tag as regulation. And I just don't see this being a 3-2. Like this, if anything to me, this is 3-1 or 4-1 type of game where the Wild put it on them in that third period and bust them up. So we'll lay that -1 with the Minnesota Wild, and we'll go to the last game on the sheet. Big O says, anyone on Florida? I am Big O. I am on Florida. I am on Florida and the under. Nickel Sandy says, I live in the future. Mr. Wesker says the Hurricanes had their chance last year and choked. Florida will show them how to close like champs. All right, you guys, this is the big deal for the game spot here this evening. It is part of the Sharp Respected betting analysis. Calgary Flames will start Dustin Wolf. The Edmonton Oilers will start Connor Ingram. They bring in Tristan Jarry. He gets hurt. So they got to call up Connor Ingram. Started off, he had a 4-3 win over the Vegas Golden Knights. So good for him. They're probably going to do what they... Connor Ingram's one of those guys where you play him too much and he just gets hurt. And he does it season in and season out, it seems like. He definitely was last year. He's not playing stellar in minor leagues either. I dug up some of his numbers out there. 85.6% save percentage. So the game picks up in speed. And this Calgary Flames team is that team that is putting teams on notice. Dustin Wolf's got an 89.6% save percentage. So you're comparable in terms of kind of recent form and performance. But you got a team that's running, shit start, running hot. They already beat the Oilers. When they beat the Oilers the other day, they were -200 favorites, the Oilers. I think they were over 200, a matter of fact. I think they were 250. And I remember we said, you can't take the Oilers in this current form. It was a shootout, so it was a close game. They battled hard. They didn't fall for a luster that is the luster and allure that is Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and that whole squad. So, look, bottom line, Sharp Respected betting report came in. They have fired on the Calgary Flames. We've seen this line continue to move down. You know exactly what that Sharp Respected betting information has done for us out there. So we're going to take this Calgary Flames team, and we're going to go to this last spot I've got for you guys in the NHL. We've got 3 NBA games, and we'll put the bow on the show. I've got a parlay. It's an even money parlay. It's the Colorado Avs. It's the Los Angeles Kings. Is it square? Maybe. If you want to be really square, I'd add the Vegas Golden Knights to it. Fuck the Sharks. But I don't want to handcuff myself yet in that. As much as I say fuck the Sharks, I still may end up coming back. We'll see how the evening goes because it's a nice plus money dog out there on these Sharks. And Macklin Celebrini has been that guy that's been firing. But as far as these games are concerned, I told you guys we have some big trends here. So goaltender-wise, we've got let's start with Colorado. Let's go to the Colorado Avalanche side of things here. Colorado Avalanche will be bringing out Scotty Wedgwood, most likely. Carl Vejmelka will go for the Utah Mammoth side of things here. Utah already has a dub on this Avalanche team. That was in Utah. Big dog gets the win. Avalanche have not... They just can't lose. They can't lose at home. They're not losing in regulation. 2 regulation losses for the Colorado Avalanche. They're just red hot on home ice. Now, you do have a team, and I think one of the advantages they have is elevation. But you have a team on the other side that plays at elevation. So I don't know how that's going to equate. Maybe that's a knockout situation. Scotty Wedgwood's 15-1-4. He's a monster. He's got a 2.1 goals against average. He's in the Vezina Trophy candidate situation out there. He found himself a brand new home and lease on life. Feeling pretty darn good after the Dallas Stars. The wedge wall, they used to call him. Remember that? Anybody remember that? But he's definitely having one of the best seasons of his career. And he's catching the Mammoth. And the Mammoth are on a 3-game losing streak. So, I'm sorry, 3-game winning streak. So, do the Colorado Avalanche exact revenge. Avalanche, big favorites. We talked about this before. They've won 17 straight games in this position. At home, big favorite. Tough team to beat with a strong goaltender that's playing better than almost anybody in the league. So Avalanche will be like one. The Kings and the Trailblazers, by the way, kind of similar, but a little bit different. The LA Kings on the other side of things come into this one. Now, got ourselves a nice fade on them LA Kings the other day, and it just so happened to come to fruition for us out there. Sharp Perspective bettors knew exactly what they were talking about. The question I have is, how do you evaluate the Kraken? I said from day one, I didn't like the way their roster was constructed. I thought that the Vegas Golden Knights showed you how to do it with back-end negotiation, and yet Ron Francis just said, fuck that. I'm going to show you how to do it. They got Joey Decord. He's got a 2.85 goals against average. He's a 500 pace goalie. I don't like Anton Forsberg for the Kings. I wish it was Kemper, but Kemper's hurt. So we got another 500 goaltender on the other side. On the surface, I get it. You sit there and say, well, you're telling us that these goaltenders are pretty equal. Why lay the price? Well, I think there's a pretty large difference in between these two teams, right? The Kings and the Kraken. The Kings are a Stanley Cup potential. The Kraken are probably hoping to get a number 1 draft pick next year. Probably going to be a little ways away from that. But look, this Pacific Division's wide open. You've got the Anaheim Ducks that sit in number 1. The Kings are kind of, because of their shit home performance of all things, have found themselves number 4. And you got a 500 team in the Kraken at home or on the road. The Kraken are one of the bottom in the Pacific Division. They played last night. And the importance behind that is when the Kings play a team that's on the second leg of a back-to-back, the depth, that Stanley Cup potential that I talked to you about prevails. They're 20-2 when they're playing a team on the second leg of a back-to-back. Of course, they just lost last night, so they got to be hopping pissed off. Step up in class for this Seattle Kraken team. They played the Sharks. They beat them. They played the Ducks last night. They beat them. We were on them. But 4 straight road games to finish off your Christmas break. The Kings have won 15 straight in that position. That's how I'm going to parlay them together. And that's a nice little I think that's a nice little bankroll builder. I don't talk about those too often, but the fact that you can get them at plus 100, fire away. Let's take a shot. Let's see what happens. Nasty Nate says the Bruins are going to smash. Cheshire Cat says took Joker's 20 plus rebounds. Big O says fuck the Knights. He's on the Sharks. Okay. So I haven't handcuffed myself in that game yet. Phil the Kill says he likes the Kraken on the road during the busy season. Less distractions. They have 4 days off coming up. The 15 straight is intimidating. Yeah. Situational spot with with that squad there kind of just led me to that. Let's see what happens. Let's go into the NBA. Let's talk about 3 quick games in the NBA. Of course, we'll look at some cash flow splits, a little more of that. Boy, I gave out last night on Winnable. I gave out the Flames overnight because I saw it come on the overnight Sharp Perspective betting report at plus 190. It went down to plus 154. Those Flames are now plus 125. That's 30 cents. It's a third of a buck in difference from last night to tonight. And then as we look down the line, I wanted to look at that Sharks game. Money's coming in on the Sharks. I'm sorry, money's coming in on the Knights. They went from minus 278 to minus 205. So could be a plausible play to take. And the Sharks, here's the thing. When I look at this I might talk myself into this. The Golden Knights are in a 15 straight win spot as well. But when you see that plus 1.5 puck line for the Sharks is minus 140, and you see the money coming down on the Sharks from plus 225 to plus 175, Books are kind of telling you this could be a one goal game, or the road team comes through. That's how I interpret that information. You guys do with that what you will, but as an example, the Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 125. And their money line went from plus 180 to plus 196. So books don't think the Kraken have a chance in that one. They are a little concerned about the Sharks in that Vegas game. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Washington Wizards, Charlotte Hornets. Maybe I'll have a play on that. Maybe I'll go official with that and that final bowl game for some plays later this evening. Let's talk some friends. Let's talk some cash flow. Let's talk some line splits. Let's talk about some shit NBA teams out there. Washington Wizards opened up at 6.5. This line touched 7. It's come back to 6.5. 51% of the bets, 52% of the cash are on the Charlotte Hornets. 233.5 have moved to 239.5 with 80% of the bets and 80% of the cash on the over. And yet, it's not moving. Hornets have a 9-win squad in front of us. The Wizards have a 5-win squad. So what's impressive about this Wizards team? Take the fades out. Take the fades out aside. The Wizards have 5 wins. I've given you 3 of them. I'm going to give you the 4th one tonight. I think potentially we have a wrong team favored situation. But I know this. I do want the 6.5, 7 if you can get it. You fade Charlotte. Specifically when you fade Charlotte is when they are a favorite against a rested team. In other words, the team's not on the second leg of a back-to-back. Pretty simple. You don't make them a favorite against a rested squad. They're not that good. Their record shows they're not that good. They're 23-6-1 in that fade position. And you've cashed 16 straight times in that position. The Wizards did just win against Memphis. They did win against Indiana. Both road spots. I think they have a good opportunity to get the job done here tonight with that 6.5. So we'll take it. Matter of fact, what did I get? Let me see what I got. Rico. Yeah, I got 6.5. 6.5 at minus 110. So there you go. Big trends tonight. Not a huge card, but big trend. I mean, there's a big NHL card and a big NBA card. But I mean, in terms of when I say not a huge card, I mean like there's not a lot of trends that kind of rise to the top for us. And a couple of those did jump off the page at me. So that's kind of, when I do my cap and I look at the card a couple times, try to look at the schedules and see who's got some of these spots coming up or whatever. And then I'll dive in and start looking for some trends. I'll go through my databases and see where do these pop up? Where do those pop up? How does it all come together? And then from there, I'll circle back and start to put all the pieces together. So when you see a couple of them 15-0, sometimes that's where I look at Colorado and the Kings and I say, I'll just parlay these two together. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to lay the puck. If Colorado loses, they're not covering the puck line. So you're not going to win that minus 1.5 either. And if the Kings lose, they're not covering the puck line. So what was your alternative in playing those spots? Unless you want to play the dogs. And more respect to you. So there we go. Let's go. Let's talk Bucks and Pacers real quick here. We'll get this thing moving. Of course, we saw the Pacers last night. Boston, big opportunity. Boston came back and won the game. So I wonder, in my headspace, immediately I'm thinking, how much emotional expenditure do they have in that game? Not just the physical part of it, because they got manhandled down the stretch against the smaller, less physical Celtics. Handled them, boys. We did cash our plus 12.5. 52% of the bets, 51% of the cash here. Second leg of the back-to-back. The Pacers now at home. Totals dropped 7 points. We know Giannis is out of there. Probably a blessing in disguise for this Bucks team. 87% of the bets, 88% of the cash came in on the Milwaukee Bucks in a Central Division showdown. And, for what it's worth, I know the Pacers are 6-23. Bucks are 11-18. They're not that far out of the playoff realm. So this is a big win opportunity for this Bucks team. And I think they're in that position to do just that. Now, both teams are going to have superstar issues. It's not just a knockdown drag out, but we've seen, like Halliburton, Naismith, they say it, Jackson, Toppin, Shepard. But let's not forget, players' motivation. We know Giannis is out. We know Taurean Prince is out. What did Miles Turner say the last time he went to Indiana? I was not too happy with the way I was greeted upon my return to Indiana. Felt that I was a little bit disrespected. Does that give him a boost? Does he go out there and try to put the team on his back and slap these boys in the mouth? I think it might. I think that might be the situation here. You've got an opportunity to move up the Eastern Conference leaderboard. You got a star player that feels slighted. The team's been playing fairly better without Giannis, which is amazing in itself. And if you're Indiana, Tankathon, it's here. Tankathon 2025-26. These Pacers best stop winning, and maybe that's what they realized yesterday against the Boston Celtics. I'm going to take this Bucks team. I got a minus 120 on the money line. I think they are good to go. Mr. Weskers likes the Pacers against the spread, though. So we will see who prevails in that game. Last game on the card. This is one of them favorite trends I got for you guys. It's cashed and cashed and cashed and cashed, and we will get to it in just a second. By the way, I really like the Bulls tonight. Side note. And I do like Johnson as my king of the court player. So now you have that information at your disposal. I saw it in the chat earlier. Trailblazers line opened up at 2.5. It's moved to 1.5. 62% of the bets and 61% of the cash. Like this Portland Trailblazers, it's good enough to make them from a 2.5 point home dog to a 1.5 home dog. Totals come down from 233.5 to 231.5. Just cashed our under the other day with that Portland Trailblazer. A lot of people were saying that game's going to sail over. It sailed under. And Portland, I mean, look, they were able to bottle it up. They did lose 110 to 102, but we talked about that. Important to know. 500 teams. You're shit if you're sub 500. You're good if you're over 500. And the Pistons play to their competition. When they play sub 500 teams, they go under. So we had that under coming for us. Now we get to this game here, and both teams, however, are in that second leg of a back-to-back. This will be the fourth straight road game for this Orlando Magic team. They got to be tired. It's not just because it's their fourth straight road game. Two of them were at elevation, and they showed just how tired they were because they got gassed against Golden State, who had nobody playing. 120 to 97. So Orlando's basically part of the Tostitos halftime show. They are burnt to a crisp. And this Trailblazers team, who remembers? Who remembers the Trailblazers trend? Remember, it was in Toronto. Anybody? Nobody? Bueller. They love playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. They are 33-11, and they have won 14 straight times on that second leg of a back-to-back. In fact, not only do they love playing on it, but their opponents playing on it with those back-to-back games at elevation and a beatdown against Golden State. Fourth straight road game before the holidays. I'm going to take the Portland Trailblazers. You go 1.5. Locked and loaded. That's the way we're going to put the bow on the show, you guys. I hope everybody has themselves a very Merry Christmas. We got some green to get to tonight. We got some green to get to tomorrow. If you haven't done so already, you guys know the deal. Think about checking out Winnable. You can still get the rest of today's action as part of the free trial. And I'll send you guys text alerts with all the plays when I drop them. It's 70 cents a day, 77 cents a day if you take the quarterly package. You'll get a free month in there. Lots of different ways to get the content. This is the season to jump on board. If you haven't done so, check out Winnable. Hey, it's Mikey Money here, letting you know the Sports Money team is live on Winnable. Come check out our best bets.
For a low monthly cost, you get the very best bets delivered instantly to your phone by text the moment they're locked in. No delays, no missed lines, just the smartest plays at the best odds.
We do the work, you get the plays, and they're sent right to your phone right when we drop them.
Don't wait, don't guess, don't miss the line. Join the winning team today and start cashing tickets with Winnable.
Pimp Slap Play of the Day will be over on Instagram in just a couple of minutes. Nasty Nate, I see you. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Shout out to Nicholas Handy, Peter Gracia, Nasty Nate, Phil the Kill, Mr. Weskers. Appreciate all you guys coming through here. Cheshire Cat, it's good to see you again. Big O, rocking and rolling. TJ Hardy, Peter Gracia. Man, thank you guys all for being here. Brian Smith. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Michael P. Merry Christmas to you. Phil the Kill. Blake M. The Futon Bets. Shout out to Big O for the 1999 dono. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll be back to do it again. You'll find Ramon Scott Christmas morning giving you guys the morning steam. I'll be back on Friday. Same time, same place, same